Hi and welcome back to a tutorial about how to make a track from A to Z. In this series we've been looking at this track where I sampled my granddaughter's voice in the car. What have I done so far? I added this in the break here. This was missing. So I pulled that from here to here, so that's done. I fattened out the voice a little bit by what I did was I added a bit of fatness there, and I took off in the compressor I took off the soft distortion, because too much distortion kind of adds a bit of noise to it. So what I want to do here now is just automate the delay on this vocal. At the moment I've got a dotted quarter, so let me try a straight quarter. As you can see, I've got two sides to this. I've done it on a double mono, to a dual mono, sorry. So I can then play both sides differently to get a stereo effect, because this tape delay is not really a stereo delay. We've got a stereo delay, but I kind of like working with this. Right, I've got to use that. So what I want to do is start from the beginning and just automate it down as I go. And what I do is just bring it in and out like this. And so go down here to latch like that. And I'm now going to delay just this part here from there, because here we have the other part, the delayed for the reverse vocal. So we'll do it on here. So let's start with it off and see how it goes. There you go. So I just automated that, and we can see that if I open up here and then I select, I'm just going to go back to read here, and then here we can see the insert bypass in and out that I did. And we can tidy this up a bit. If I make this a bit bigger, we can kind of get this to be a bit more precise. There is a way of snapping this. Let me look into that. Hold up. So snap automation active. This should react the same as when you're moving a part around, the region around. So that's really useful. So I'm going to snap this now. That's pretty much quite precise, but let's just make sure I've snapped it properly. There you go. So it's kind of snapping the same way you'd snap a region. So that's quite useful to know. Makes it a bit more precise. So there you go. So that's the kind of sort of thing I do with vocals from time to time. Just do a bit of automation on them, make them a bit more interesting. I might put another delay on that. Stick one here, just there as well. So maybe a little bit more feedback on that now that we've got it kind of short. So just put 25 on that, see what that sounds like there. There you go. So Sit the end one here. Yeah, makes a bit. That's quite cool. Leave that for now. Do a Command S to save that. We can then close the automation view window down, bring it back a bit, and so that's a bit of automation going on there. What else? So we've got this here. That I kind of felt was better, so what I'm going to do is separate these out to different tracks, and like I showed in the last video how to do that, I'm now going to do this by going in here and muting the layers that I don't want. So if you listen to this on its own, I'll show you this again. I'm going to name this track after. This is a drum part, so let's just make sure we've got a colour right on this so we know what we're looking at. To get these bars here, you go to configure track header, then you click on the color bar, and that will activate that. And this just gives you basically what you've got in your mixing desk here. It's just doubled up, and you know you've got the same thing here, same color. It just visually for me, it helps me kind of get my way around. What I want to do here now is just put this in, like I was in solo, sorry, and then come back to the Nexus. So we can now start bouncing this stuff out, which I'm going to go away and do, because it's going to take some time. You might say, well, how do you do that? I'll show you by going in here and muting the layers that I don't want. Let's start with this. We've got the kick. Okay, let's start with the kick. Okay, the level's not too loud. So what we're going to do is just bounce one bar. Not one bar. Bounce 2 bars. Okay. And what I'm going to do is just go bounce in place here, which is Shift B. So now I want to keep the track. I'm going to leave it. Sometimes you can mute it. I'll leave it. Bypass the plugins means that if you have that ticked, it will copy all the plugins that are on the track to the new track. So I would leave it on bypass. There's no plugins anyway, but if I had like a EQ and a compressor and I bypass that, that will record the EQ and the compressor to the new track. But I usually keep them on, so it will, what it does is then copies them over. So what I'll do, I'll show you. I'll put an EQ on, right? And so you can see the EQ, and what we'll do is we'll bounce this in place. So back to here, right click, bounce in place. Okay, do that. Okay, now what that's done, basically bounce my track over here with the EQ, right? So it's copied the EQ over. So if I just solo this, you hear this. There you go. It keeps the same settings, the output, everything's the same. So we can name this kick. Then now I know where that's come from. And that is useful because I've had to go back and find sounds, and sometimes I get rid of this and then I forget what I've done. That's how you bounce out. What I'm going to do now with Nexus is go back and bounce out all the different layers. So I will have a good section of drums and stuff. So next one will be up will be this, the snare. So what I'll do here is I'll just copy this name out again and put snare in the front of it. So yeah, so I'll just bounce that out and I'll be back in a minute. So now I've bounced this all out, here, you can see all my individual parts here. What I'm going to do is have a listen to these here to see if everything's there. So okay, I even kept the bass just in case we need that. What I'm going to do here is rename these tracks, rename regions by tracks. So this one we know is the original, and just get rid of these parts here, we don't need them. And now I'm going to hide this by just going to turn these off, and then going to hide the track, hide track, and this will light up here, this H. And if I open it, it goes green again, and you can see the hidden tracks. So what I'm going to do is, for example, the fridge I'm not really interested in, so I'm going to hide that as well. I'm going to turn that off, but I'll keep it anyway. And what else? This one here, the ultra beat, was just something I wanted to show, so I'm going to hide that one as well. So now we can clean this page up a bit by hiding those, and now we've got our separate drums here. I'm going to put them with the drums, so they're up where they are. I'm going to turn the kick into a kick by giving it the right colour, so I know what that is. Very important colouring, because then you see where you are without having to worry about what the actual part is. For example, if I look at this actual session now, I know my bass is there, my voice is there, drums are here with the drum break I've coloured differently, keyboards are here that are copying the bass, and bass drum elements here like boomer and that are going for the bass drum bus. So I know straight away what the session is without having to look, oh, what's this, what's that, what kind of, you know, just makes things a lot quicker. Now we've got these, we can now move on and sort out what we want to keep and what we don't want to keep. So that's it for now. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't hesitate to like, subscribe and leave comments, and I will be back soon. Bye.